Smooth as a Kendall is the 19th episode of the 4th season of 2.5 Men. This is directed by Halvorson, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's an okay episode. There are definitely some moments that I enjoyed, but I'm not that bothered about Myra as a character. Don't really think it needed to end on a cliffhanger with to be continued, but we'll talk more about the next episode when we get there. I've seen it before. I can't remember exactly what unfolds, but I do remember not really caring for Myra the last time I watched this. The episode starts off with Charlie on the phone with a date who breaks off the date, and then Alan signs his last alimony check because Judith and Dr. Melnick, are getting married at the weekend. And I feel like that's come around really quickly. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe they've been together longer than I'm remembering, but it does feel quite quick. And they go over to Judith's to get Jake and drop off the check. And they turn up with a giant check, which I thought was funny. Not something Judith would appreciate, but then can she really get mad if somebody is handing her money? They don't actually get to give it to her. Jake actually finds it in the bushes at the end of that scene, which I thought was rather delightful. And we spend quite a bit of time at Judith's house. And whenever we're there, it's just arguing constantly. In fact, it's not even so much arguing as it is just Judith shouting at everybody and getting annoyed and really just behaving like Judith often does. And Myra is there. Myra is Herb's sister, Judith's soon-to-be sister-in-law. And I have to say, I rather liked the dress she was wearing. She did describe it as looking like a stool sample, which when she said that, I kind of thought, okay, I know where you're coming from. But I quite liked it. But I believe Judith chose it to make Myra look not as attractive as the bride would be. And clearly there's a lot of tension, so Alan decides that they'll all go to the movie theatre. Alan, Charlie, Jake, and Myra. And Myra, well, she's pouring drink into her cup, alcohol into her movie theatre drinks cup. And it became quite clear early on that she's probably going to get along quite well with Charlie. And we cut immediately to the back of the car. They're singing Let's All Go to the Lobby. And this was a really interesting moment for me. It's not that interesting. But a couple of months ago, I watched the cartoon for the ad that had Let's All Go to the Lobby in it. It was an animated commercial that would play in movie theatres to encourage people to go to the lobby and get themselves a treat to buy candy. And I recognised the song, but I could never remember why. And now I'm wondering if this is where I knew it from. And I just completely forgot about this particular scene. They get out the car, Charlie walks Myra to Judith's front door, and she kisses him. And we leave it there for now. Alan is then on the phone to Judith, and I like the fact that he was not letting her walk all over him as he would have done once upon a time. He was quite firm in his speech, and when he hung up, Berta suggested he had phone cojones, basically meaning he has balls to speak to her like that when he's on the phone with her, but hence the title, Smooth as a Ken doll, when he talks to her in person, which, yes, I can see that being the case. Charlie then goes on a date, and he actually, and I think this is a really great moment for Charlie. Well, I'll explain what I mean by that. They arrive at the restaurant, he lets the date out, and then he drives off really quickly, leaving the date there. I don't think that was great of Charlie, but the reason he did this is because he realised he wanted to be with Myra because he enjoyed spending time with her. In that moment, he decided he could either have meaningless sex with this girl he was on a date with, or he could spend time having a conversation or more with somebody whose company he actually wanted. And I think that's a good sign of maturity for Charlie. He didn't handle it well, but definitely an interesting bit of character development. And he's with Myra in Judith's house, or Judith and Herb's house, and again, they're arguing, and Charlie ends up saying that Myra can stay with him. It's a big house, plenty of room. And she agrees. Clearly there's not that much room because Jake and Alan end up having to share beds, so Myra can stay in Jake's bed. And kind of a creepy moment, actually, I'll be honest. Charlie is in his bathroom, and Myra's just, when he comes out, Myra's just sitting cross-legged on his bed. It was genuinely a little creepy. Very well done, though. And Myra talks to him. She wants to talk about the kiss, and obviously they end up having sex. And we're then in the room with Jake and Alan, and all we can hear is the bed upstairs, and it just made me wonder, how often must Alan have to listen to that? It never occurred to me that Alan's room would be directly under Charlie's. And, well, it's just a good job that he has that room usually and not Jake. And that's how we end it, with a to be continued. Honestly, obviously the wedding aspect and things we kind of want to find. Well, I want to get to that part and find out what happens next. I have a vague recollection of what's in store, but I can't remember too much. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But as I said, I'm not that bothered about Myra, so it could go either way. But this was a decent enough episode. I liked it. Personal highlights would be the giant check. Really enjoyed that. And I was going to put it as a thumbnail for this, but I try and avoid putting the really funny stuff in thumbnails, because obviously I haven't given a spoiler warning by that point. But that was definitely a highlight. And I think, yes, the way Alan spoke to Judith on the phone, because I like it when he stands up for himself. I like Judith. I don't think she's a likeable character, but I like her at the same time. I don't really know what I mean by that. There's just something about the character I very well written, great performance. I guess that's what I like. But either way, really good episode. I did enjoy it. Not an all-time favourite, though. I don't really care for Myra, but we'll see what's in store with the next episode.